Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Oates and I'll be showing you the basics of edit mode in Second Life. Now before I start, I'd like to say the current version of the SL browser I'm using is called Firestorm. It's a program similar to the standard Second Life viewer, but it provides a few more functions and tools that are quite handy. If you're using it already, that's grand, but if you're not, then maybe this lesson can be a bit confusing to follow on the exception of a few points. I highly suggest using Firestorm. So with that said, let's get down to the basics. To enter edit mode, you simply have to right click like so, and you'll see the edit option on the wheel right here. You may see a list instead of a wheel, but most of the time this is the standard. And with that, you have to select edit to enter edit mode, and you'll see all these tabs and buttons that follow underneath every category. General, object, features, texture. It may seem complicated, but don't be discouraged. Once you understand what their functions are, it'll be like mesmerizing a TV remote. This edit window has 5 tabs above and 5 tabs below. They are considered 2 different boards with a fine line in between. And the first upper tab, Magnify, is for 3 camera functions during edit mode. Zoom is for a closer look, and Orbit is to rotate around your work, and Pan is to slide all around. The second upper tab, called Grab, is for moving 3D objects that were made by you. You can also set to physical to sort of do the same thing, but here's the move option. You can just grab and move things that belong to you as you please. And here's the lift option. That way you can do the same. Oh, I'm moving my platform too. Here we are. And here is the spin option to rotate it how you need it. If you want it to face this way or you want it to face that way, it follows your mouse. Quite easy. The third upper tab, Select, is what you'll be using the most. It lets you move things where you need them using move, of course. Left, right, up, down, like so. It's very precise. And there is the rotate option. So you can face them around as you see fit by selecting the lines or selecting the base. Kind of like the second tab, but this is a shortcut, especially for this tab. And there's also the stretch option that you can morph your object in a certain manner, like you can do it this way. You'll see that you're stretching both sides. If you want to stretch only one side, you unselect stretch both sides. And you'll select these points as you need to, like so. And there is the select face mode to change different sides of this object individually without affecting the others. Like that. You'll see it's highlighted, and that's how you do that. Align is for stacking together multiple objects like a deck of cards. Like say this one is out of just like that. You press align and you select either arrow. There you go. It's pushed together. As for this option right here, edit linked, it's a checkbox that lets you select objects that are already merged together into one. And how that's done is that when they're linked, like so, they become one object. You don't have to select each individual object that has become whole in this manner. But to do that again, you don't always have to unlink them just to move them around. You can just select Edit Linked Parts and move them around as you please, even though they're already grouped together with another object. Like that. The option Stretch Textures is to morph the skins or textures of an object along with the object. So if the object stretches, the texture stretches like rubber. But if it's unselected, it pretty much repeats. Easy. And snap is a measuring ruler for moving with decimal precision. If you're building something, complicated, this will help you stay on track. All those little squares. And edit axis at root, that'll be something I'll be explaining in my other videos. And show highlight is to have this glow around the object that you have selected, like this yellow glow like you see right here. It's if it's ever in the way with tiny details, you can just turn it off if you can know what you're selecting. There you go. So you can see very, very close up. The fourth upper tab, the magic wand, is basically for picking which Prim shapes to put down, like so, or like so. And there's quite a few other options, but you don't have to worry about them until you're terraforming land that you own. And these checkboxes right here are for copying selections. Like say if I have this selected, I have this enabled, I can make a copy of this selection like so. I can do it again, or with the cube. There is another option to do this. If you have the object selected, just hold the shift key, doesn't matter which, and drag the line any direction, and you'll keep making duplicates as long as you have the shift key held down. The fifth upper tab right here is meant for terraforming land. I don't think we'll be needing this until you plan on managing a sim, which is something I'm totally for if you have an idea for a world to create. The possibilities are endless. If you ever need a tutorial, I'll do so in the future. Now, for the lower side. The first lower tab is for general options. This shows you the creator, the owner, and the last person that had this object, like so. I was the creator, I am the owner, and the last owner was me, as you can see right here. And when objects are dedicated to a group, it can determine if you can interact with it, if you are or aren't in this group. And the sale checkbox is if you want to sell what you've made. Though most areas selling right off the street isn't allowed unless you have a store rented. And at the bottom, these checkboxes are very important. They determine what the world can do with the things that you create. Like anyone can move it, or if anyone can take a copy, like so. And the three checkboxes at the bottom are for what people can do with your objects when you give or sell it to them. Whether they can modify it, like changing shapes or textures, or copy it, which is pretty much making duplicates. They can't make an exact copy of your work and claim it as their own. It will still have your name on it and everything. And transfer is if they can pass it on to someone else. Normally people who sell things don't allow this, but if you want to spread your work for the sake of art, this is a pretty good way to do it. The second lower tab, Objects, is basically for objects, avatars, buildings, and etc. The first 4 checkboxes are for advanced settings. I'll explain in another video. Positions are the object's coordinates, numbers that point to exactly where an object should be in the world. Like say you have this object here and another here. If you copy the same coordinates where one is, it'll go exactly to where the other is supposed to be, like so. There it is. It'll go down to its center. And size is basically the width, length, and height of an object. They are referred to as X, Y, and Z in that order. Like so. Width, length, and height. And rotation is the measurement of how you want your object to be facing in a certain direction. This is very helpful if you want to apply the same rotation to the same object instead of just doing it manually yourself every single time, and keeping an eye on the measurement coordinates above. You can just press C for copy, and the others will be just the same. You press this P. There we go. And this right here, object parameters. These buttons help you copy and paste special changes you've done from one object to another. I think it's only restricted to prims only. Like say if I did this, if I made a hollow, copy the parameters and I'll paste, and it does that. And the drop down tab here is for turning your object into something else, like from a square to a circle, in case you change your mind. And path cutting, right here. Path cutting is so you can slice your object down to a certain way, kind of like a pie. This one is pretty much the same as this one, it just starts at a different point. Starts right here, or it starts right there. And hollowing is simply for hollowing your prims to have nothing inside, like so. Twisting is for morphing your object to stretch left or to stretch right, like so. And top shearing, the other option you see right here, is making your prims lean this way or to lean that way. But let's not forget about the option taper. I almost did right there. Taper is to pinch certain points of your object down to a point, like that. And depending which you modify, could go just like that. And slice is to cut down your prims from top to bottom. This is for special modifications if you need to. depending on which one you pick, it will start on either side. And revolutions and radius is for making your prim go beyond twisting. Radius enhances the effect of this mode, which is why they're together right here at the bottom. But I don't think you really need to learn this as of yet, unless you're making complicated pieces for hairstyles or etc. The third lower tab is for editing features of any object that you have selected. Flexible path right here is for making things go loose, much like cloth or hair, like so. Underneath them are options for that function. You can play around with them if you get the right motion that you want. Like say, wind right here is to make this object function like a flag in the wind. And below that is the light option. It's to give any object a radiant glow that can be seen by others. Intensify, and so on. And physics shape type are for advanced options in another video. I'll get to them if you have any specific questions. But that's about it for this category. The fourth lower tab is for texturing, which is one of my favorites. Texture right here. It's for applying skins to things that belong to you, like objects, buildings, and especially avatars. And the color right here is basically for changing color. Pigment to whatever you select using the RBG option, LSL, or hex code. You can pretty much just select it right here on hand, but these options are very useful for being accurate. And next to that is the transparency grid. It's to make your object as see-through as you want it to be. Going all the way up to 100, it's completely see-through. It's very handy for like functions like glass or so. And next to that is glow. It's not the same as light. It's like comparing a light bulb to a glow stick. It looks nice in the dark, but if you wanted a light effect, I suggest the upper tab, like that. And the full bright checkbox here is meant for making things constantly bright. It'll have no shininess or bumps or any other advanced shadowing options, but it'll always be clearly visible as if it were in the light, like that. There is a drop-down tab here that says Media under Materials. Materials is the default for the area, but Media is simply if you want to have a TV screen to stream videos through this face or Prim for people in world to watch. This texture box here is where you'll put your skins that you'll find, buy, or upload straight from your computer. You'll have to spend about 10 linden bucks to upload each skin into SL. Lindens are like the currency for this program, but 10 lindens converted into real money is actually 4 pennies. So it's not that much. Start saving those pennies if you want to upload images and skins by the truckload. There's even a way to test your textures out before you upload them using local mode. Local mode lets you select any images or skins straight from your computer and test it out. Only you can see it on your browser, but anybody walking by won't be able to see anything until you upload it, like so. I haven't uploaded this, but I can see it still because I've added it, and it should prompt up a window where you can look for your image to upload to test with. And the drop-down tab Mapping is an advanced function for UV mapping. It determines how a texture is melded over an object. There are settings to do that once you upload like something special like an avatar into SL, but you don't have to understand it immediately. And right here are texture decimals that determine where the texture on the object should be. It's a manner of repeating that can be stretched this way or this way. And the last two below move the texture instead of stretching it, like so, to the left, or up and down, such and such. And the rotation degrees here will let you rotate your texture to make it fit. And the repeating option is pretty much these two together, but a lot faster. Should help if you need something like that. Play with them as you like and you'll get it quite easily. And the little buttons here just copy and paste the skin settings from one object to another. It'll be really easy. Just copy and then paste like that. So you can save a whole lot of time making duplicates. And lastly, the fifth lower tab, content, is where you can simply look inside what's stored inside these objects. It's where you can put in items that are stored away like a box. You can put in something called scripts, or just make them right here, that are coded instructions that affect how the object behaves. And it's recommended that you hand these over one by one instead of putting them in a box. It'll save you a lot of trouble. Like you can make it spin around like so, or move about, rotate, glow, and a lot of other cool things with scripts. If you happen to be avid in scripting, this is your place, but if you don't know how to make them, you can buy them on the marketplace to like do special functions to give people stuff if they ever get near the object, or to send a message if they're ever around. Those are just a few examples. This can be an easier way to put a lot of things together, like a goodie basket, so you can give it to all your friends instead of giving it all one by one to every single person that you meet. Like say I pick up these one by one, and instead of giving them one by one, I can just take all these and move it into this box's content. Like that. Look, they're all in there, like a present box. That's why in some stores you'll get everything in the form of a box to unwrap everything that's stored in there at once. Instead of just giving all the pieces one by one, this makes it a lot easier. There are options to set with permissions right here of this button. If you're in a hurry, this will help a lot. It'll bring up the screen so you can select which type of contents you apply permissions and restrictions to. These icons stand for animations, body parts, clothing, gestures, note cards, objects, scripts, sounds, and textures, which we also call skins. And like I'll allow my textures to be copied if the next person that has this wants to. So that would be modify. I'll allow that. If they want to make copies, so like in case they make a mistake with an object and they can't fix it, I'll allow them to make a spare copy to hold on to. But say if they bought the stuff from me, like I was selling it for a certain amount of lindens, I won't let them hand it over to somebody else for free. So this transfer option I'll keep unchecked. And if everything looks good, I'll press apply, and it applies all these permissions to everything that's inside the box you have selected. Now the last two options right here, refresh and reset scripts, are only for refreshing the scripts that you have inside the objects. Like say if it's not working and you need to bump it a bit, just press refresh, and if you removed and put in a new script, resetting scripts could just wipe everything, so it'll prompt which script inside should work in the place of the old one. And that's pretty much it with all the basics. If you have any questions or requests on what you'd like to learn specifically, leave them on the comments down below. I'll respond as quickly as I can. There are also classes being held in-world that happen on every occasion. If you'd like to make an account, be sure to message me. My name is Dr. Oatz, as you read here, DannyRoadwellOatz, and I'll see you there.